I'm recording. Michael, you sound like you're about 50 octaves low and like delayed.
Oh God. Oh God.
God.
Oh God. Okay. Are you trying to use voice meter?
Hi, friends.
Hey!
Literally just had to unplug it and plug it back in.
It do be like that sometimes.
You don't think it be.
How it is, but it do.
But it do.
Oh boy. Guess who reset their settings again?
No.
Come on.
It's not like we've done this
interestingly,
300 and something times.
I actually updated OBS this time and it saved my settings.
No, this time it looks like it's probably Discord is messing up. I think then we're ready for episode 299 of We Were Gamers, a podcast wherein we're old enough to fall down the stairs and be injured. Instead of fall down the stairs and have fun.
Getting old hurts.
Oh man.
I was going to say, when you guys were little, did you guys used to like slide down the stairs and stuff for fun?
Mm-hmm.
I totally did that as a kid.
Oh yeah.
We had carpeted stairs. And
Yeah, so do we.
I know for a fact, when large appliances were delivered, we did some cool runnings down the stairs with the large appliance boxes.
Cardboard boxes? Yeah.
Yes.
Like literally scenes from the movie acted out on the stairs. This would never fly in my current house, where the bottom of the stairs is tile.
The stairs are also wood.
Yeah, the stairs being wood both makes them easier to slide on and much, much more costly.
I'm sorry to hear about
Not just... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm sorry, Michael, that you are laid up, my friend.
I'm on the mend.
Maybe you got a chance to watch that new Law and Order. I
did get to watch that new Law and Order, actually.
Yes, the most important news up front.
Well, we had to do it up front. I mean, come on. It's 21 years of a show that had a, 10-year gap in the middle here? Maybe more?
Something long. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The first question, Andy, is the sound on your soundboard?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm going to have to add in the sound. Okay, I will have to do that.
The thing about the Law and Order sound is that you can't blast it at full volume like you want for stuff on a soundboard, you know?
That's true. That's true. You would deafen people.
Yeah. You just be, because you can't get the like awesomeness of that sound is the like dun dun, like, it's not like
it is
screaming it at you.
True.
I had some thoughts on that show. I don't know but did you like it? What did you think?
Yeah, so I liked it. I appreciate that right from the jump. I appreciate that they still use the like 80s style intro cinematics.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they also
the black and whites.
They used all the. I mean, it was literally just the same opening with the new characters walking the walk at the end.
Oh, they've all been that, right? Every time they've changed characters, it's always been that, like everybody walking together to close out the opener.
Yeah, I like that the new cop that no one likes is all the way on the left, kind of separated from everyone.
Jeffrey Donovan.
Well, yeah, Jeffrey Donovan's character. I think his name is Frank, but I couldn't remember. So
yes, I think
called
that's
him
right.
the new cop. Yeah, it was strange watching that show again after this long. It felt like a relic in a weird way that had been like soap opera-fied maybe a little bit.
Because the whole thing about Law and Order, right? And again, I'm not the hugest fan. So
no, in fact, I'm supposed to grill you on the fact that you didn't watch it.
That's true. I didn't, for reasons that may become apparent later in the podcast. But I'm not the biggest Law and Order fan, but look, you can't not have seen Law and Order episodes.
It's physically impossible if you live in the United States to have missed it.
I feel like that's true. So how much is that show just exactly the same show, but new? Or are they trying to do stuff where they're like serializing it, right? Like turning it into a ongoing plot thing, which was never the deal before.
No, not that. No, definitely not.
No. It is what it has always been.
There was some stuff in there where it was like, hey, if you remember the old one, this character, they brought back one of the old ADAs to play a special role for this first episode. So that kind of stuff exists where it's like, maybe they'll bring back, like Sam Waterston came back and he's still apparently the district attorney somehow. I guess there was a New York district attorney that served until he was like 90. So maybe they're modeling him after that. I don't know. Did you like all of the new characters? I like Jeffrey Donovan as an actor, but I'm not sure if I like any of the new characters.
Yeah, I don't know. His character rubbed me the wrong way, but his character was supposed to, I think. Yeah. Which just says to me that they wrote it right.
I think they all rubbed me the wrong way, though.
The other thing that was a little bit jarring to me, I think, was that the running concurrently with this now is the final season of Blackish.
Oh,
and so it was weird to watch that show and be like, Dre is playing a good cop on this episode.
Dre's playing a very strange role. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when he's out interviewing people, he has like a weird affectation to his voice. That's like a very like, I went to Princeton voice that he does when he's interviewing people. And then when he's back at the station, he's got that little Blackish quip speak to him. So like I noticed when he's interviewing people, he doesn't use contractions, but when he's at the station, he's like using them all the time. And I don't know
it's code switching.
Yeah, it's written right in there. There's the whole holier than thou ADA guy that they brought in, just like the old holier than thou ADA guys. But this one immediately uses someone's story. I won't say of what, because that would be like a triggering thing maybe for some people, but like a very impersonal story. He uses it for like just getting somebody to get thrown in prison. It was like kind of really gross.
Yeah.
Especially when that character didn't care.
Right. I did laugh at the moment when they're playing the black cop, white cop after getting up in the kid's face, and Frank turns the whole scene on his head when he agrees with Dre's position at the end. I'm just going to call him Dre.
Okay. Frank and Dre.
Frank and Dre. He's going on about how the cell phones have ruined everything and kids today have no respect. And at the end of it, he's like, but I agree with you on the phones holding us accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay. I did not expect that to end like that.
I wonder how much of this show revival will end in a lot of people being like, Dick Wolf is stuck in a different decade, or if it will, because
isn't he like 97? How can he still be alive, honestly?
Well, it feels like they are definitely doing things like you were talking about, code switching and like dealing with cops that are trying to figure out how to behave in the new world. Although this one didn't, right? He just lied. He like straight up does some stuff that like is not appropriate or whatever in the courtroom. And like the new DA is like, oh, we got to live by the new standard, and then doesn't. And so like, it seems
I was going to ask, like, do you think there's any reaction to sort of the discussions around police and the criminal justice system recently?
Sam
Michael, you want to Sam Waterston
has kind of a thin blue line moment.
Sure does.
Where it's like we work hand in hand with the police and we need to stand beside them because people are trying to defund them, for God's sake.
That's this is me over here making the
Well, it's interesting that they used Sam Waterston's character to do it, because it's very, very much like the Dick Wolf is like, yeah, boomers suck, don't they? Where when he was younger, he was the guy that was fighting to do things the right way, right? Like, oh, we got to do it right. We got to make sure we rein in the cops. And now he's like the head guy, and he's like, oh, the cop lied, but he didn't lie that bad. He didn't promise anything. It's like, okay, I see.
Life life do be coming at you fast.
Yeah, I see. I see all the things maybe that he's trying to say. I wonder with time whether this will all pan out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll give it a few episodes to find its legs
for sure
before I really pass judgment on it. But
absolutely,
you know, for the most part, it stuck to the Law and Order formula, which is what you want from a Law and Order. So
it definitely hit the right strides. Although it only took the cops because JJ. Mm-hmm. Did you know that it's just like all you have to do is look at security cameras and you can solve a crime?
Man, wow, that sure would be great if security cameras had quality above 7 pixels by 4.
The cops. No, they didn't even do that this time. They didn't even enhance any. They didn't do any of that.
There was one moment where they zoomed in to find the DA.
They zoomed in on the DA, and the chief of the station's like, oh, he's like, do I need to get this down to facial recognition for enhancement? She's like, no, I know who that is.
It'd be like, in real life, actual security camera video is so garbage.
I know.
You can't see anything.
So what they do is but the thing they do is like, it might also be a comment on like the police state of the fact that literally they're just able to pull up cameras all over the place and they find out who did it.
Well, isn't that a little bit of the reality of New York these days?
Yeah.
Isn't there a much bigger?
So the cops are only on screen for 20 minutes and the rest of the episode's in the courtroom. Like, oh, this is a lot of order and not a lot of law.
Yeah.
Or whichever way you want to slice it. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. That was one episode of Law and Order. I'll give it more episodes. You know what I mean?
Yep, same here.
Somebody wrote an email that said I forgot to say something about Joker, which it was revolutionary for all these other reasons. I'm just going to pick one out that I did like from there, is that it was all one POV. There's no change from that one character's POV, which is kind of interesting.
Yes. Yep.
Instead of doing it all one shot or whatever, like some people would try to do to make you see it. It's just, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Also got some emails. Thank you for all the emails about screen tearing. I tried all those things. The most helpful one is, how does it work outside of Call of Duty? The answer is pretty good. So the answer might just be what JJ said, which is Call of Duty is the problem.
Yep. Gonna get into that again, potentially later in the podcast.
Oh, okay. But since we're kind of doing screen tearing and email follow-up, thanks for those, by the way. Texts and emails and all that stuff is fun to get and engage with, and we appreciate it. Podcast at We Weren't Gamers. You could weigh in on those food rules, which are due next month or this month. By the time you hear it, right?
Yes.
No food for the gram and don't imposter. We'll debate them again hotly. Component class is kind of tied to that. And Michael, we've been chatting about cases a little bit. I don't know if you saw the new Fractal Torrent Compact got a review by Gamers Nexus.
I did not see that.
They love it.
They were big fans of the baseline torrent.
So apparently the cable management in the compact is abysmal. I will tell you, okay. I have the Meshify compact, and it's not great, but at least it has a steel back instead of a glass back like the torrent does. So I can just sort of push stuff if I need to. I like my Meshify, although it seems like if I had the option to get a torrent compact, I should have done it. The air processing in there is quite good.
Yeah, the only thing that stopped me from getting the torrent was that they said it kind of wasn't worth the money if you were intending to do an AIO or water cooling.
Yeah, so the big thing with their review of the compact was like, hey,
OMG fans.
You really are paying for these 180 millimeter fans, so plan your build around this. It's really good for someone like JJ who does air cooling.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's extra.
I was going to say that it's cool that like Gamers Nexus acknowledges that, right? They're like, hey, this case is cool because they have a specific idea in mind, right? Yeah. If you're going to use an AIO, put it inside a friggin' glass box. Who friggin' cares, basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, not only, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you have more leeway there.
And they finally, in that video, answered one of my questions about using video card risers to turn them sideways, because I guess that torrent does it. I don't know if the case you picked out does it. Mine does not have an adapter to do it, but they said if it's within a couple inches of the glass, don't do it, because the way the torrent and other cases push air, you're just heating the card up by turning it sideways.
Interesting. I can see that.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you know, the fans are on the, so I'm talking about looking at the face of a video card, which I guess, you know, the side with all the fans.
Yeah.
Underneath that is the actual cooling radiator, and the fins on that thing usually run along the length of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Meaning they're intending the air to travel across it that way.
Yeah.
Whereas if you 90 degrees it up and down, well, depending on which way you just did that now, the air might not be traveling the same way and through your case.
Yeah, exactly.
As you have now oriented the card, depending on which way you've turned it.
Which in the case of my case, the compact Meshify, and in the case of the Torrent compact, you can actually get better thermals than even a full size case, because you've got colder air hitting components quicker if you keep the components in the correct orientation for the air.
Yep. So you're moving more volume of air in and then expelling the hot air out quicker because there's less distance, right? Less in between.
I mean, looking at their testing, you got to think a lot of people got to look at that case and be like, holy cow, how is cooling like this possible? So it's going to be an interesting time.
The numbers are top of the chart for most of the categories.
Yeah. And for a compact case too. Yeah.
The question's got to be like, you know, what's the cost versus all these other ones? And then does it sell well as to whether all the other companies are going to copy it next, right?
Sure. I mean, it's definitely expensive, but the mid-size one at least is not that expensive for all of what you get with it.
Right, because if you're planning to buy the one with the fans, it's $160, but those fans, you know, if you take them out,
what would you spend on 5 nice fans to put into a case?
I spent like $16, I think, or $18 a fan, right, to get Noctua fans. So
now you're suddenly in the range of that.
Yep, exactly.
And you can definitely get a bigger case. Like my case is nothing special. It was like $120 or probably like $100 plus tax. So, you know, 120-ish. And this was years and years ago that I got this case. And it's just, you know, I just haven't replaced it because it's been fine. Like, and that's the nice thing about a case. As long as the components don't get bigger, right?
Yeah.
I mean, take the old one out. Sell it off for parts. Put the new one in.
I dumped my last case, the NZXT case that I had, because the thermal performance was just so much better moving up to a fractal case, and it wouldn't fit all the things I wanted to do correctly, right? So there were twofold problems. I wanted to do a 240 to 280 millimeter radiator because I knew which one I wanted, and I knew it would not fit into that other case. So you can eventually run into problems like you're saying where components get bigger, or your plans change in the future of like what you want to do with your case. So
as you know, as things generally just get bigger and require more power and more.
Oh my gosh, should we talk about more power?
Oh,
those 40,000 series the reveal, I can't even get my
I can't get my thoughts out about that.
1,500 watts? Is that what I saw?
There's no way.
Can your case double as a wine fridge?
Dude, a wine fridge? You can run a literal real refrigerator for less.
So we're talking about is an unfounded, uncorroborated report of power usage for the next series of NVIDIA cards, which probably aren't real. But some people have come out and said that the 4090 will use upwards of 1,500 watts. I can't believe that's true, but
you can buy an inverter that plugs into your car and acts like a generator for which you can run anything you want, and the inverter does less than 1,500 watts. It's running off your car, engine, and battery.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't think that's true, but it's possible that, you know, 850 watts may become the low end of pushing power through these things to try and solve the upper end problems that they've been having with the 30 series cards. You know, now that they tried to throw RAM at the last in the last iteration of the
more
cards.
memory, right? Yeah.
Yeah, more memory. Didn't really do anything based on most everybody's tests. But anyway, the reason I brought up cases is I had an interesting roundabout use of my case when I was adding that drive back in. When I put in another M2 we talked about last time, I rerouted some cables to try and put my video card cables above my video card to see if it would look better. I'm not sure I like it. It's kind of annoying though to reroute cables all the time, so I'll probably just leave it. But I noticed when I was in there looking for where I would mount drives if I started adding 2.5 inch drives, right? Solid state drives to this thing, where to mount them. Two of them are mounted to the back of the motherboard chassis, I guess you call it, right?
The thing that would be behind the back panel cover.
Correct. Yeah. Two of them are there. They want the next two, because I took out the hard drive cage because I'm using that for fan space. The next two they want to add are literally on top of the power supply.
Gotta find space somewhere, man.
Just flat mounted to the power supply cage. Is like, wouldn't those get hot? Like really hot?
I mean, gotta put them somewhere.
I guess.
My M.2 drive is like centimeters below my video card. So
yeah, I know. I've got
like
they have a thermal shield. I have a thermal shield on top of mine.
Yes,
but they run,
and mine does as well. But like, dude,
I mean, they run at just being on and in use now. They run at like 50 C. Just idling. That's kind of crazy to me.
Toasty.
Yeah, it's not super toasty. They can run up to like 85 or 90 when they're in use for a long write. And they Samsung allows it. I don't know why, but yeah. Whew.
Industrial part temperature spec, man. They got one, and if it violates it, you know they are going to be dealing with it. Don't worry. Like they will turn it off if they decide it's too hot.
Yeah. But just idling at 50 is one of those things in my head. This alongside the power of like, wow, components just do more stuff now, I guess.
And I mean, as you mentioned, like the answer, like the reason why power is constantly increasing in these things is like nothing in electronics is free, man. You want stuff to work better and do more and faster and all this. You gotta
come
get
from
it
somewhere.
Gotta come from somewhere. Yeah. Eventually more electrons are needed somewhere. And, that creates more power, more heat. That's just how it works.
Unless you can find a way to shorten, like with smaller and smaller nanometer technology, shorten the distance and all these things.
Right. But then, each component upgrades and changes its distance at a different amount of time. Well, your CPU is upgraded, but your GPU hasn't, and your RAM and the motherboard and yada, yada, yada.
Yep. Well, Michael, where are you going to mount your drives, my man?
I have two M2s. So those will go into the M2 slots on my motherboard. And then I haven't decided with the third one that I've got whether it's going to go.
What did you decide
whether I'm
to
going
mount
leave
them
it
in? You got a case, right? I mean,
yeah. So I have yes. I'm settled on the Fractal Define 7.
Define 7. Okay. And that's a newer or older design Fractal. It's a full tower?
It's a mid
tower. Okay. But not a compact tower.
No, but not a compact. It does come in a compact version, but I went with the slightly larger one. That
side?
one is glass side, light tint.
Ooh. This is very industrial looking.
I'm
all black on the interior.
I'm Googling Fractal Define.
Yep, Define 7.
Okay, got it.
And you're using an AIO?
Yes.
Cool.
Pretty looking case, man.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like about it is that it actually comes with a swappable top panel. So if you want to mount the radiator for your AIO to the top side of it, it provides you with venting compared to the just closed top.
Oh.
Needed, that would seem.
Yep.
I mean, you should do that then.
Yeah. That's what my plan is just so it's up and out of the way.
Cool.
But yeah, I haven't decided for the actual solid state drive whether I'm going to put it in a rack in the cage or mount it directly to the back plate.
They even have the little SSDs mounted to the power supply cage in your Define 7 too. So I guess that's just their deal.
It's a thing.
I want to say my old PC thing doesn't have the ones to mount to the power supply thing, but it totally has these to mount to the back.
Yeah, the back plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back plate's pretty standard for 2.5s. I think that's the preferred mounting position for a lot of people. You can get at them very easy.
Yeah.
Cool. And you're done? You found your power supply and you got all your parts and you're ready to build?
The case is back ordered.
Oh no!
So yeah. I found a good deal on the one that I like, the size and the glass tint that I wanted, but it's a couple of weeks back ordered. Hopefully, just a couple of weeks.
Bummer.
Products.
Yeah.
Bummer.
It's the way of the world right now. But yeah, I'm almost there.
Congratulations. Cool.
Very excited to hear how that goes.
Yeah. Now I just got to wait for drive SSD drives to come down in price, man. Woof.
Yeah.
They are. It's not cheap. I don't know if you've looked lately, but the prices are creeping up. Again, I don't know what happened.
Although, paradoxically, the M2 ones, NVMEs, have been getting lower and lower.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. They had a sale.
I've seen multiple times in the last few weeks the sale price that was equal to the one I got for stuff on Black Friday.
I mean, that 980 Pro that I bought, 2 terabyte one, is still $280. I mean, that's below Black Friday last year.
Good deal.
I don't know what's up with NVMe being cheaper than regular, what do you call that, NAND flash?
There must just be a certain set of components that you can't get right now.
Very strange. Well, JJ?
Hello.
Have you been able to find all the components you need to make potions?
Flask of Crimson Tears.
There we go. Yes, I have been playing Elden Ring on the PC. And as alluded to earlier, there are performance issues that I and it seems the internet are not able to solve currently.
Oh, no.
I don't find them that distracting in my play. I've played quite a few hours at this point. I'm probably like 12 or something. I've been pushing quite a few hours in it. But yeah, there is an unremovable stuttering issue, which feels like it happens more in some areas than others, and also feels like it happens more frequently when like big things load in than others. That's all like hearsay from me. I can't prove any of this, but it's definitely noticeable right out of the gate. My hardware is strong enough that it overcomes it. I can't get rid of it, but like the frame rate will drop from like, a couple frames whenever it happens. So, like 58 compared to 60 or, 54 compared to 60.
Yeah, but you notice if it's a stutter.
Yeah. It does happen enough that it is not completely smooth. Yeah. But then, it is also gone in a quarter of a millisecond or whatever, or, a quarter of a second, and then doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Still unacceptable for a
pretty
PC
annoying.
game.
Pretty annoying. But like I said, it doesn't like it. It only happens certain places and certain times, and I can't like reliably force it to happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And it hasn't ever caused me, at least thus far, to die or lose progress or really annoy me more than like, oh, hey, it hitched up. That's like the maximum amount of annoyance I've taken from it.
Something you can live with then.
So far, I have been living with it. Is it perfect? No. But I can tell you that
will they patch it? Yes.
God, I hope so. Continuing on the performance front, I can tell you this game can run on much lower spec hardware than I have. As such, I have been setting the NVIDIA, what is that thing? The like DLDSR? I forget what they like, the deep learning dynamic super resolution.
Oh, I haven't used that. I haven't played a game with that yet.
So you have to mess with it in the NVIDIA control panel, not the GeForce experience, right?
Oh, okay.
And in there, basically, it like renders the game at a like some higher so like super sampling, right? Where you just render the game at a higher resolution and it downsamples to your screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
We all understand this, hopefully. This is doing some kind of NVIDIA magic version of this, where it is rendering the game at about the 1440p that I'm playing, but it internally or somewhere along the line, it is trying to render it at a higher rate somewhere else. And I mention this only because, like, the GPU is bored when I am playing this game. It has nothing to do. Like, because the frame rate is capped at 60, and it is a cap in the game. It is not negotiable. You can't turn it off. You can't change it. 60.
Okay.
VSync on or off, doesn't matter. 60. And
well, you should use VSync. You have G-Sync, don't you, on your monitor?
Doesn't matter. 60.
Well, yeah, but
the game gives you 60 no matter what you do. Higher refresh rate, doesn't matter. 60. Because the game is always giving you 60 frames, it's like my GPU is like, well, I got another 20 seconds here. You want to do something else? So I was like, it was like the temperatures were like 50 degrees, 40 degrees. Like the GPU was not even getting out of bed. Nice. And so I was like, oh, all right, well, let's like turn this super sampling up over here. And,
so that's like the opposite of like a DLSS situation then, where it's trying to lower the resolution and make it better somehow.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly how DLSS works. But also it's worth noting this game does not have ray tracing.
Oh.
Okay, so that's gonna be a lot less of a draw on your GPU then.
They have talked about, we're gonna patch it in the future or something, which I am skeptical of because this game is so big. I got a glimpse earlier in the week of the full map, and it's like when you start this game, you open this map, you can like see this huge world out in front of you, and you're like, oh, wow, it's so big. There's so many different places I can go. You sweet summer child. You've seen nothing. This tiny speck of land that you were on is a moat in the galaxy of the space in this land.
So, JJ, you don't like open world games, man.
Yeah, but I like Dark Souls games, Andrew. And this game is a Dark Souls game.
Uh-huh.
So the thing that I have disliked about open world games like Skyrim, and to a lesser extent, like, like the Horizon Zero Dawns and games like that, is that a lot of the open world part of them is like extremely boring.
Okay.
Sure.
And the exploration is not interesting to me because I explore over there and I find a side quest that is like, hey, do you want to race mounts? Or like, do you want to do climbing game or whatever? But here I go over there and I find a dungeon full of Dark Souls bosses and enemies. Or I go over here and there's a giant who jumps down off the cliff above and attacks you. And then I'm having a fight, right? It's like the fact that everywhere I go, I end up doing Dark Souls stuff is enough to make me care and be interested in like, oh, what's over there? Like I'm exploring to find the weird Dark Souls stuff going on in this game.
That's cool.
The interesting hook for me in this, and that like, I think this is getting me into open world games, maybe, right? Like,
no,
because it has the thing where I could just go wherever and do stuff. And when I get destroyed by a boss too many times, instead of like being blocked, I can just not go there anymore.
Yeah.
And do something else.
What if you found a different boss?
Or I just fast travel to the other side of the map and walk around. Or I go over there and like try to see what's under that cliff. Or I go see, maybe I could beat that giant now. Or maybe this dragon over here. Or there's another hole and there's another cave in that cliff over there. What's there? And like every single time I've gone and investigated something, I found something. And it's not like it was just a cookie cutter little like series of rooms that they pasted together with some, the fifth version of this enemy. Maybe I will get to that point later in the game. Who knows? But like so far, every place I've explored has been different. A different boss, different set of rooms, different, all placed there in like a Dark Souls dungeony way. You eventually get to a castle. I mean, it's not a spoiler. There are castles in the game. I don't think that's a spoiler.
It's a Dark Souls game. Go on.
And the castle is a giant, intricately designed, interconnected Dark Souls design type level where like you go a certain distance, you get to the checkpoint and you find out, oh, I've unlocked a shortcut back to earlier in the level. Now I can go this way and like do these other things over here.
Oh, cool. So there's benefits.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like, oh, hey, there's items over here I couldn't get to before because, and like I was too afraid
really
to
the
go over
negative
there and, like all this stuff
in it's really the negative in Skyrim and all those open world procedurally generated blah blah blahs, where it was like, what's the point of going here? Loot. What's the point of going here? Loot. What's the point of going there? Loot. Okay, I'm done looting. But if you if you have a reason to go to those places because you could unlock, I think Breath of the Wild, Michael, might be in this case, right? It's like most of the open world is open world ish. It's like there's a reason to go over there.
Yeah, it's still pretty fairly open. Like there's very little in it that by going somewhere you unlock an area you couldn't get to, or an area that you had to go a long way around to get to before. There's not a lot of gating of the player in Breath of the Wild.
And so I will say this game does some of that, where like, yeah, you can go a lot of places right off the bat, but there are eventually some parts of the world you can't really get to without doing some bosses, you know? And like those bosses are not easy, and they are going to make you do some work to get through them. But in traditional Dark Souls fashion, you can summon people to help you. And this game gives you some new tools there. If you don't want to summon actual humans, because maybe you think that makes it too easy, you can summon NPCs who are just going to, you know, wander around the arena and do whatever it is their little NPC thing tells them to do, try and fight and help you or whatever. But usually, like, if you're having a really tough time, or maybe you're like doing magic, or you're using a bow or something like that, and when the boss is constantly running at you and jumping at you and attacking right in your face, having some other little people wandering around to like take the attention for a minute while you run away and say, charge up your next set of spells or whatever, can be really, really nice.
Summon a tank for you to keep casting.
Let's talk about my friend and your friend, the jellyfish. It is a giant floating jellyfish that shoots like poison jets or something. It's going to sit there. It doesn't care what you do. The jellyfish is immobile. And it will shoot its little poison thing at whoever gets near it, and it will do its very best. My God, my friend, the jellyfish, thank you for helping me in so many boss fights so far. And, you know, in true Souls fashion, you can level these things up eventually. You can level yourself up to gain more power. You can level your weapons up to make them stronger. And, you know, through a combination of all of these things, you are eventually going to be able to overcome. That doesn't mean, you know, you will be able to overcome immediately or instantly. But I really think that this game, more than any of the others, gives you tools to get stronger and more powerful if you want to. So, and you don't want to just bash your head against the wall.
Yeah, a little unlike most Dark Souls games from what I understand then.
It certainly has new avenues that the other ones didn't have, right? Like all this summoning stuff is all new, at least to me. And I think the effect of all of it is that it really does give you ways, you know, to choose the level of difficulty you want, right? You don't have to engage with this summoning stuff. You don't have to summon people. You don't have to summon the jellyfish. Sadly, you can't have the jellyfish and people active at the same time. Biggest disappointment I found it. So I summoned a person, and I was like, all right, me and this guy will be good, and we'll go in and fight the dude. No, jellyfish denied. Very sad.
It's no Vampire Survivors. They still want you to lose.
I mean, look, yes, look, you're going to die. There's no way around not dying. And the game, you know, it encourages you to some level to learn through your deaths, right? And that has always been a part of these games. And I cannot explain just how, like, the breadth of content that there is. And like, I'm not even very far into this game. A slight spoiler here. I opened a treasure chest and it was trapped, and I was teleported to someplace across the other side of the map. I have no idea where I was.
Whoa.
And you know, it's like one of those things where, like, if you haven't found the obelisk or whatever, you can't see the actual map. It just shows, like, you know, an outline or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just way, way off on the side of the world. No idea where I was. I found a little save point, and it's like, yeah, you can't fast travel out of here, dude. Sorry, you're stuck.
No. What do you do?
No,
gotta hoof it out.
Right. And so, you had to eventually run a little ways away. And eventually, once you got far enough away, it's like, all right, fine, we'll let you go. You survived this time. I saw some really messed up stuff over there. I don't want to go back. It's like red sky and blood waters and horrible prawn looking people. I don't want to go back over there. That looks awful. Except I do want to go back over there and show them when I've become stronger and teach them for trying to mess with me, right? Except like that's like half a world away, and God knows what's between me and it.
Yeah, and how long it'll take you to level enough to get there. Sounds like it's a bigger game than you might be used to.
Yeah. I do think it is worth pointing out that this game also does the thing that a lot of other Dark Souls games do, is where like the areas don't really scale. And like, so you get to a new area, and if you're at the like kind of right level, it will seem challenging but doable, right? But if you get to an area you're not supposed to be in, it's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
But conversely, right, if you go then, level up a whole bunch and you come back later, that area will not be so bad anymore. And the earlier areas you were in, you are going to be effectively immortal, right?
I feel like that's been a lost art in video game RPG making, where it was like, not the new thing was for a long time, well, what if everything just was roughly the same difficulty all the time and everything scaled with them while they leveled, so they never really feel a challenge or feel a challenge all the time, or you know what I mean, like you could set the game how you want it to be, versus like, well, these monsters are like this and those monsters are like that, and if you go back to the basics here,
I think it really helps like differentiate the areas, right? Because now I know when I go back to that area where that original castle was, it's like, I'm cool here. Yeah. I am going to crush these puny mortals out of the way while I ride by on my horse. Yes, totally. It is totally like that, right? The first level is your Elwyn Forest / the Barrens, and like you're just in there chilling, doing whatever you want. And, you go back and you're now in the level 60 zone all of a sudden, and you're going to get rolled by that dragon.
I think that kind of design is a consequence of the growth of open world games, because it is a solution to the question of, well, we want people to feel like they can go anywhere. How do we make sure that anywhere they go, the game is going to feel the appropriate level of hard? Well, we'll just have everything scale with the player, as opposed to older games where you would have the designers or the developers decide, well, we want the player to go in this direction, so we're going to make it really brutal if they pick another direction to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Elden Ring knows that you're going to do this anyway, right? Like, it's not like there is a literal full cliff. Well, except maybe if you get teleported to Hell World. But like, there are but then I eventually escaped and I was able to kill those guys, like, albeit very slowly and after dying a bunch. But like, you could kill them. It's not like it was like me walking up as a level 7 character into the Blackrock depths and just being unable to even hit or damage a monster, right?
This is definitely more like Fallen Order was, where I went to Dathomir first by accident, and it was like, man, this Dathomir thing is really hard, and then I got stuck there because you can't get past a certain point unless you've gone to the other places. So you come back later and you're like, this is really easy now. It's just because you can throw your lightsaber by the time you get back there.
Yeah, and so I think they have done a good job in letting you also, like, there's never only one path you can follow, right? There are like, this is probably the story path or something, which again, I can't really say I don't even really know what the story is in this game, honestly, but like, dude,
welcome
some people
back,
have said
tarnished.
things, but I don't know. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Arise, ye tarnished.
Arise and be a tarnished. May the blood of grace guide you.
Something about an Elden Ring, runes. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Grace.
Bird tree.
You've met Grace by now, I'm sure.
Oh, so you think Grace is a person? No. I think Grace is the flowy line that comes off of the bonfire telling you where to go.
Oh, but now you just find Grace instead of bonfires, right?
You touch Grace.
Yeah, you touch the, which it's a little bit of a drug memes there, huh? Touch the sky kind of deal.
I really, every time I hear it, I keep hearing the reach out and touch.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Reach out and touch Grace. Yeah. I hear it all the time.
The
in my
Depeche
head
Mode?
playing this game. Yes. Yeah. Or is
Wow.
that 9 Inch Nails?
No, I think it's Depeche Mode.
Anyway. Yeah. But they've done a great job of like not limiting
not Grace.
It is Faith, but it is Grace in this game. So
yeah.
But they've done a great job of not limiting you. Like, okay, it's not like you have to go into this castle. There are other places you can go. There's a huge forest over here. There's a thing down south. There's God knows what over there on the beach. Like, you could just, and then you can just go, right? Like, it doesn't stop you from going these ways with like impenetrable cliffs or walls or areas that you can't get through, right? So even though it feels like the content there when you go into this cave by the beach and there's a dungeon underneath it and a boss, it feels authored, but it also doesn't feel impossible. And they've done like just a really, really fantastic job of like letting you go find stuff and stuff to do that isn't impossible and is also like different and varied all over the place.
They may have made JJ's perfect game.
Dude, maybe.
That's a tough balance to strike.
And who knows? Well, yeah, like again, I am early on, so it is hard to say. But
I'm assuming you're not playing with a keyboard and mouse.
No, although I've heard the keyboard and mouse controls are decent this time, which is unusual for these games.
Okay.
Yeah, I am using my new Microsoft Elite controller.
Elite 2, right? The newer one?
Yeah, the Series 2, I guess.
Series 2. Did I convince you or did you convince yourself?
Both, I guess. Definitely you played a role.
I see. Please tell me you've been using the paddles.
I have been trying. I will say that
very strange.
Yeah. And in the panic of a fight, I don't have time to think about which of these paddles corresponds to X or whatever that I need to heal. I need to be healing. So I will say that I have them all bound to stuff, although I did have to unbind one because I kept pressing it inadvertently, and that was very frustrating.
You can also take them off.
Yeah, I may take that one off just because like my hand sits in such a way that like I'm constantly tapping it accidentally.
Yeah. I noticed when I was playing Celeste that I had to force myself never to press A on the pad if I was going to try and use the paddle, right?
Mm-hmm,
so like and wanted to be more efficient. So like you pick a key or a button that you're going to use on the pad and just leave your thumb on that, and then, you know, using the paddles try and bind to the things you also are going to use on the pad all the time.
Yeah.
And really just force yourself to use the paddle instead. And I think you eventually get there. The muscle memory is different for sure.
I think the thing I need to eventually do with these paddles is instead of binding them to the face buttons or like the more versions of the back buttons, what I really should do is bind them to like the button combos. Yeah, you can do that, right? Because there's a couple.
There's a software you can download and you can make profiles. I think you can make 3 profiles that you can save to the controller. You know,
yeah,
and things that are hard to press, like clicking in the stick, like, you know, the R3s and L3s of the world. That often you click the stick, but it ends up shooting your aim off to the side or whatever because you push it too hard and panic. I've bound those things in certain games to the back paddles.
I will say, thankfully, I have not had to do the stick clicking stuff in Elden Ring yet, but there are a few things I have on like a button combination of like triangle/Y and R1 or something, or triangle Y and left or right or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And those sort of things would be nice to just have a button for, because if it's like a dedicated like call the horse button or a dedicated like what's that? There's a move like a 2-hand move, because unlike other Dark Souls games, when you 2-hand something, previously when you 2-handed it would always 2-hand whatever was in your right hand. So if you press triangle, it would put whatever's in your right hand into 2 hands. If you have a shield, it just throws it on your back or something. And then, you know, you press the button again and it goes back to having 2 separate hands. This time, it's a button combination of triangle and either right bumper or left bumper or R1 and L1. And it picks which one you want to 2-hand. So do you want to two-hand the thing in your left hand? You do triangle and L1 left bumper. Or
interesting.
You want to do it the other way, it's triangle Y and R1 right bumper. And so you can do the like, okay, I want to two-hand this thing for a second and then switch to two-handing the other thing if you have two weapons, right?
Sure.
I don't know. I've never really like made a lot of use of that because I really carry a shield in one hand and you don't ever want to two-hand a shield. But hey, it's there. And maybe there could be reasons, right? I have like two swords or something and you want to two-hand this one for this effect and go back to the other one for some other effect.
Yeah.
Totally possible.
Have you played around with moving your trigger stops and all that kind of stuff?
I moved the trigger stops forward from the all the way down to like one up, I think, instead of the like very shortest one. I didn't like that. It felt like I was not pressing it enough. So then I moved it back down a little bit. That's been cool.
And then you can take the things off and adjust the tension of the sticks.
Yeah, haven't felt the need to do that.
I like them untensioned, so that's kind of nice that you can.
I definitely like that they give you the option of the cross D-pad or the weird circly buttony thing.
Yeah, it's a weird D-pad.
And so I could just put the normal cross in there and I don't have to deal with the weird circly buttony thing. I know there are people who probably like that thing, but no, not me.
Kit and I are in agreement that they should have offered colored face buttons instead of black and white.
Yeah. Mine is all black, and I totally could agree if like they gave you some cool color choices that might be fun. Silver or white or something.
What do you think of it overall?
It's been pretty nice. Like I said, it took a while because I'd been using a DS4 for a decent amount of time and a DS3 before that even for an even longer amount of time.
Oh, you had to move your thumbs around.
But that wasn't that bad. I mean, like I had played Switch games and Xbox games before. It's not like it was the only time I'd used one. And it's been good.
I like the weight.
I really like it.
A bit.
Yeah, it feels nice, and I think that's the thing that draws me to it the most is the heaviness and the I don't know, secure feeling, I guess, of it.
And the paddle location, having used the scuff, is quite convenient, actually, overall.
Yeah, I think the interesting.
Are you using it wired or Bluetooth?
Wired. My motherboard does not have Bluetooth by default. I would have to get a plug-in. They sell plugins, of course, but
they do. Yes, and the response time is better than Bluetooth, but like milliseconds slower than wired.
Yeah, I leave it plugged in most of the time. That will probably eventually ruin my battery, so I probably shouldn't do that. But.
Well, Michael, you're in the next one. We gotta convince.
Yeah, apparently I'm left out here. First, Vampire Survivor.
Hey, that wasn't my fault. He convinced me.
I did also play a bunch of Vampire Survivors. I think I have all the achievements in that game now.
I stopped. I'm gonna take a break from that game until they release it. I like it quite a bit. They're gonna be releasing new stuff all the time, and I want to be able to like come back and have a lot to look at or something.
Yeah, I have. I mean, obviously, I've fallen off in favor of Elden Ring, but like probably when they update it again, I'll go back and play a few more rounds. And be like, man, that still rules.
I did pick up Loop Hero again, and just real quick, since we were talking about it offline, how do I decide if I want to fight the boss or not? You said quite a few loops. I'm on like loop 15. I've started to max out some stuff, and I feel like maybe I shouldn't fight the boss and just take all this stuff home.
So, I mean, I guess the question there then is, Michael, you've played quite a bit of Loop Hero as well.
Yep.
How many runs have you done where you've gotten to take home a bunch of stuff,
Yeah, usually I just die and take home 30%. This is the first run I've had that seems self-sustaining.
Do you think it's because you got lucky, or do you think it's because you found a good set of cards? Yeah.
Maybe both, or like I'm getting better at understanding how much stuff to actually put on the track. Maybe I was putting too much on before,
Totally a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, you can take all the loot and go home, because there is a cap at some point, right? Like you eventually can't get any more.
Yeah, everything
materials.
caps out at 20 of the higher end resource,
and you can just leave, and then you'll be able to upgrade a ton of stuff back at the village, probably, or if nothing else, create a whole bunch of those little like weird relic things.
And there are definitely times when you'll find yourself wanting to be able to do that. just you feel stuck and you realize, oh, I need to upgrade a few things to help me get over this hump. At which point you will be glad to have farmed for a ton of resources already.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll just pack it in once he's starting to struggle with the loop.
And like even 15 or 20 loops, like it's not like it takes that long to get that far, you know?
No, I guess not.
The hardest part again is like picking your layout of the screen and like where you want to place all your cards and like what your patterns are going to be and stuff. That's the real work of Loop Hero in my mind. And then picking like the good equipment.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand it a little better. I don't know.
Such a good game, man.
So it is good. Hey, people want to send in their thoughts on Elden Ring?
Folks can send that to podcast@wewergamers.com. Title line, Elden Ring is the best ever. OMG 11 exclamation point.
Or just title it with your death count.
Is that the thing people are streaming? They've got to do that while they're streaming, right?
There are definitely some people doing that.
I have seen a few.
Saw a streamer carrying a gigantic boat anchor. It's like twice the size of the dude. I want to know how you do this. Where do you get that?
Nice.
So I think that's pretty rad. If you want to tell me how to find a boat anchor, you can send that to podcast@wewergamers.com or find us on social media @wewergamers, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Instagram and YouTube, though, pretty much frequently. Y'all want to get on there? Check that out. That'd be great for us. And especially because Andrew has been putting the Chef's Kiss level videos out recently. They are very good.
I'm having a good time. You know, what else uses 1,000 watts?
Space heater?
Microwave. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can literally microwave your food.
Like I said, you can run a real refrigerator for less. Ice machine and all.
That's got to be fake. I was very curious to see what you thought of the game because I saw people doing the whole like collecting stuff from the ground, like running around doing the whole like World of Warcraft herbalist stuff, and I was like, JJ, he's either gonna hate or love this game, but nothing in between.
The thing I have noticed is all the crafting stuff kind of useless. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I will say I've used it for, and again I should have kept recording, is the it's very helpful to be able to just be out and make arrows. It's like,
sure.
I've killed 50 boars or whatever, and I just have a bunch of bones and feathers from killing 100 birds lying around, and I could just use that to craft a whole grip of arrows instead of having to transport back to town or a vendor or something and buy them for 50 souls a pop or whatever. That has been super helpful, but that's really the only thing I've bothered to craft because I haven't been able to. The stuff I want to be able to craft is how do I craft things that let me get out of status effects like bleed and poison and like whatever worse bleed or double poison or illegal toxic or whatever they have in this game. I haven't found any of those yet. I wish I could craft those.
Remind me if I ever make a game to have you name stuff illegal, toxic, and
double poison and
double
super
bleed.
Bad. Yeah, that's how it feels, man. And like I want those and like healing items. I haven't found a way to craft any of that stuff. And if I could craft those, I would be like farming those materials like no one's business. That would extinct that race of animals. But I haven't found anything like that. So, but you know, probably by design that they don't let you heal or whatever.
Open world game
easily.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Looks like this Aperture desk job is actually free for everybody.
It is, but it's I guess made for deck.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know what that means in terms of like what does made for deck actually mean, but my guess is that it has like some sort of deal with the haptic controls.
No, here you go. So designed as a free playable short for Valve's new Steam Deck, Desk Job walks you through the handheld's controls and features while not being nearly as boring as that sounds.
There you go. That's how it's for the deck. I hope Law and Order takes off. I like the people in it, but that first one was a little rough.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I hope your ankle is better. I didn't know that you fell. Nobody.
Yeah. I just didn't mention it, but it's headed in the right direction.
That's good.
You know, The swelling's mostly gone, and there's only a twinge of pain, and not really when I put weight on it. So
you got like a month to heal up, so we can go to Knott's.
yeah.